Hey guys, what's up? It's Louie and welcome to my channel. I know I have other videos in here from before, but I kind of feel like this is my first one because this is the first time that I consciously make a decision to really start telling my story here through YouTube. And it's all because you guys encouraged me to do it. So I appreciate everyone that got behind me and said, do it, try this, we want to see more. So here I am. I want to start off by telling you a little bit about me if you haven't heard my story yet. I got into barbering back in '09, so this summer is actually 10 years for me, which is a really big deal because before barbering, I was a professional quitter. I literally tried everything from, working at the LA Zoo for a day to being a masseuse, a bartender, club promoter, you name it. If I had a genuine interest in it, I did it. And so it took a long time for me to find my path, and it definitely took a long time for me to find my passion. But through the process of trial and error and quitting and everything that comes with that, eventually everything led me to barbering. And once I got into barbering, it was a complete game changer for me because not only did I find something that I could do with my hands creatively, but I realized that I could really build something for myself if I just leaned into my craft and my profession and really started treating it like a career and taking it seriously. And so that's what I've done. I'll give you even more background on me. I'm from South Central LA. I'm the middle of 5 kids, first generation Mexican American. So I grew up in the hood, seeing the struggle, seeing my parents trying to come up, seeing my parents be entrepreneurs, not because they wanted to, but out of necessity for the most part. My mother was a stay-at-home mom, but she always had her side hustle, and I always say that my grind and my hustle I learned from her, and my discipline I learned from my father. They're both very committed individuals. They were very focused on providing for their family, not just their immediate family, us, their kids, but also their surrounding family, my aunts, my uncles, my cousins, and being a support system for all of them. And so that's really what I grew up seeing. That's the school that I come from. My very first job was out in the apricot orchards in Northern California, in Hollister, California to be exact. And I went summers to go work out there with my grandmother and other family members. And for those of you that enjoy dried apricots, these little hands touched them at some point. But I started that when I was in 3rd grade, and I went and I worked for, I think it was like maybe a month or 6 weeks or something like that. But it was the first time that I did really hard back-breaking labor and got paid for it. But I'll never forget, after that run, my aunt wrote me a check for what I had earned for working. And that was something that was very defining for me. And since then, I continued to do it. So my very first experiences working with people, and doing any type of labor was really out, in the apricot orchards, cutting apricots by hand, taking the pits out, laying them out. And it was a crazy process. It wasn't easy. And, but it was something that I learned from, and I thought it was important. Back then, maybe I didn't enjoy it as much, and I was kind of bothered by it, but today I appreciate it. And, my grandmother, who raised me also, especially later in my teen years when I lived with her, she was really tough, and really believed in tough love and really believed in only 2 things, which was education and hard work. And so she drilled that, in us, really. And so that's kind of, again, like the school that I come from. My first business that I ever started, I was in grade school. And I decided to sell candy for profit. And, I was inspired by another student that showed up one day, and she was selling these little, Andes, I think it's called Andes or whatever, the little mint chocolates. And she sold out through a whole little box in a day. And I thought, wow, she was able to sell that. What if I sold candy but actually brought a lot of different options? So I ended up talking to my parents and my mom, which, both my mom and my dad, but predominantly my mom, because I spent most of my time with her, she backed me up. She backed me up, and she gave me the first amount of money for me to kind of invest and buy candy, and we tried it. And I was able to sell out through, the school day, and that was, my first kind of business venture. And being around my mom and being around kind of the things that she did, because even though she was a stay-at-home mom and our family is always number one for her. She always had to figure out more ways to generate revenue. We could never really depend just on one income. My father is also an entrepreneur. He had his own business. But before he broke out independently on his own, he worked for other people, and he worked multiple jobs sometimes. And so, our situation really went up and down all the time. So I always saw my mom be very, intuitive, very, ingenious about the way that she did things. And so she always had like a group of people, particularly women, that, it was her community. It was other moms that, either sold Tupperware or, Avon or whatever it might be. And so, my mom kind of created her own spot within that. So whether she sold jewelry or clothes or you name it, she always had her little side business. At some point, she was like the neighborhood's like babysitter, so like 6 other kids in our house other than us. You know what I mean? So there was always something going on. So my entrepreneurial spirit, that spirit of always wanting more and of being innovative and of being creative and of just kind of taking risks, that's just in my bloodline. It's really kind of intertwined in who I am and how I was brought up and what I was, the examples that I had growing up. And so it built a really strong foundation. But once I got into my teens and my early 20s and stuff like that, I started struggling a lot, mentally and emotionally and even physically. In a lot of ways, I was just hurting. I was having a really hard time finding myself. I was really having a hard time accepting who I was, accepting my identity. Just all of these things that kind of came, with growing up and turning into the person that I am now. It was difficult times. It was difficult times for me. And so through the process of trial and error, tried college, left that, tried different jobs, tried the corporate world, tried the nightlife, like did it all, tried it. I found this. And barbering really tapped into a lot of things about who I am and more importantly who I want to be. That is what's kept me in it for 10 years. And it's really transformed my life in a big way and really, really, really helped me tune into my purpose, which is a little bit of what I'm doing today. I like showing you guys through my own experiences, through my own difficulties, through my own troubles and losses, and even through some of my victories, that the life that you want is definitely possible if you're willing to hang in there and work for it. It's cliche, I guess, because everybody tells you that over and over again. But what I like to do is kind of show you guys the day-to-day and some of the things that have helped me along the way, even to just start. Today we're standing in my store, very first store. I can't believe it. I went from not being able to hold down a job to owning a store, guys. Don't tell anybody. But the reality is that there was a lot of times where I didn't even think I was going to be here. So there was no way anybody else could think that. And through just having like strong convictions in what you're doing, but more so in understanding what your passions are and who you are and why you do the things that you do and why you want to be in the positions that you want to be in, it's really helped me. And so through this journey that I hope to take you guys on with me, I want to show you that. And I don't want to show you so much of just like we're here, we arrived, we have a store. I want to take you through the journey of what it was like for me to get out of my own way, become my best friend, not my worst enemy, which I had been for myself for a really long time. Self-love, understanding, compassion. I had to build up integrity. That's an action, not a word. Some people confuse that, but for me, integrity is actions. And so all of these things had to happen before I could get here. And in order for me to get to my next level or the next vision that I have for my life, a lot of those things have to change too, and I have to evolve and transform as a person in order for me to really be able to meet these moments. And so I hope that through this, through videos, through conversations, through whatever, I hope that you can be inspired or motivated or informed, at least, if nothing else, informed of the possibilities. We live in a world where we constantly have options, and sometimes we don't know what choices to make. And so I feel that if I show you guys some of the things that have worked for me and some of the things that haven't, if I talk to you about not just my victories, but more importantly, my failures, and we study my failures. And if I'm willing to be the person that does what they say they're gonna do, I think that maybe, just maybe, there might be a little something for you to be able to take. Barbering showed me what my purpose was. I've always known what I wanted to do. I didn't know how I wanted to do it. And I go back to a conversation that someone had with me, or a question that I'm sure people had with you, or asked you when you were little, what do you want to be when you grow up? Well, when people would ask me that, I would always say I wanted to be a doctor. And when they would ask me why I wanted to be a doctor, I said because I wanted to save people. I wanted to help people. And to me, back then, in my 5-year-old, 6-year-old mind, I thought that that was the highest form of helping someone. In a way, kind of the only way really you could be a superhero. But I realize now that there's a lot of ways to help people. And I realized early on that medical school was not going to be for me, because I was not the best student and it just really wasn't for me. So knowing and understanding my purpose since I was little, but not knowing how to do that, how to help people, how to bring them value, how to even bring them comfort or peace of mind, that was really hard for me. But through barbering, I was able to find that. And what I do now, other than just cut hair, is I have an organization for barbers that is resource-based and that provides information and support for whatever you might need. My job, not just behind the chair, but when I deal with people in my industry, is human. And I think that the biggest thing that I enjoy doing, and the thing that really, really moves me and I get the most excited about, is teaching and educating and sharing. And so that's what I hope to do with this, and that's the journey I hope to take you guys on. And I'm gonna show you some fun stuff along the way too. Show you a little bit about my life, which I'm normally very private about. But I wanna be more transparent, and I wanna put myself out there more, and I'm starting by doing this. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. These videos are gonna get a lot better, I hope, because I'm definitely gonna put the work into it. And but for now, it's more important for me to get it out there. So welcome to day one.